Until 150 years ago, nobody even knew that dinosaurs existed. What were they hiding?
That changed when huge bones were discovered in South Jersey and sent to scientists in Philadelphia. Here at the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia, scientists are busy trying to solve the puzzle of how life changes through time. The clues are contained in this huge collection of fossils that most visitors to the Academy never see. Gathered from sites all over the world, they are the backbone of that science dealing with prehistoric life called paleontology.
And one of the fun things about paleontology is you're never quite sure what will come up.
The Academy's assistant curator Ted Deschler says one of the greatest things to ever come up happened right here. The site was a marl pit on a farm in Haddonfield, New Jersey.
The marl pits, which are found across parts of southern New Jersey, are ancient sediments. They are sediments which formed or which were deposited in very rich lagoon-like settings. And in those settings there was a lot of life as well. Turtles and crocodiles. Occasional dinosaurs were either washed into those areas or may have even swam through those areas. And once the bones got into those marls, they were entombed, they were buried and preserved.
It happened to an 8-ton plant-eating reptile. 80 million years went by. Then in 1858, scientists from Philadelphia dug up the bones of what we called Haddonfield Hadrosaurus. It's the world's first dinosaur skeleton to be ever assembled and displayed. That happened in 1868.
And at first no one knew what it was, but they brought remains to Dr. Joseph Leidy here at the Academy in Philadelphia. And Dr. Leidy recognized them as a more complete skeleton of these bits and pieces that were known previously in Europe. And so it was the most important dinosaur fossil in the world at the time.
And once it was assembled, it launched the new science of paleontology.
First, these discoveries were described in a scientific sense by Dr. Leidy, but he worked with a sculptor, and in 1868, they were able to mount a complete dinosaur skeleton, Hadrosaurus folci, here at the Academy. And it was the first dinosaur skeletal mount in the world, and it blew people away. Imagine that, never having conceived of an animal that big, and then there it is, a full skeleton. And so it really was a worldwide phenomenon, certainly a wonder of the world at the time.
Because the bones were fragile, the mount was later taken apart.
And so it's here in our research collection now. So for example, here are the leg bones of Hadrosaurus folci. These are the original bones that Joseph Leidy described in 1858. They came out of that ravine over near Haddonfield. They're well preserved here. They're very fragile. They're actually quite delicate objects. They're heavy, and to actually have them in a mount out on display is quite dangerous. So we can make casts of these and use those for exhibition as we do downstairs. But it's important that the originals are here for educational and scientific study.
The bones launched a long journey of discovery. They are the ancestors of these animatronics.
Well, yes, this skeleton was what really started the dinosaur craze going. And here we are 150 years later, and we've got live-looking robots of dinosaurs, all starting with what we learned from this particular skeleton.
Just as Haddonfield was critical to those early days of discovery, Sayreville, New Jersey is critical to future finds, thanks to these tiny tombs. They were found at a clay mining operation at the Sayreville site. They are in fact nuggets of tree sap that over millions of years have hardened into what we call amber.
And if there is something caught up in it, that material is entombed.
Often that material is an insect that was bugging dinosaurs 80 to 90 million years ago.
The amazing thing about it is that you actually see the organism in 3 dimensions when it is enclosed in amber. And that's rare in the fossil record.
Academy Collections manager Ned Gilmore recalls his first insect in amber discovery.
Oh, it was thrilling. It was thrilling. And actually I found one the first time I visited the site up in Sayreville. And it was a small little parasitic wasp. And I was amazed just to see it there, and it was you know, in 3D. It looked like it just something that flew around, you know, today. We find crane flies, caddis flies, bees, even things like spiders and mites, beautifully preserved in this amber bed.
What is it about New Jersey that makes this possible?
It's a combination. Probably the most important thing is that the environment was just right in New Jersey for producing the trees that produced the sap, for the insects to live on that were living in this environment, and most importantly, so that that sap could get buried and preserved. Certainly all over the world at the time, 90 million years ago, there were plants, there was sap, there were insects, but rarely did all those factors combine with the ability for all that to get entombed into mud, clay, sand.
That's just one more surprise that scientists keep digging up in New Jersey.
You got to get out there and do it, and there are frequently wonderful surprises.
Coming up, it's the mystery of that skull that the farmer's wife found in a fox den.
Sounds like a joke. Found the Next on Primetime Weekend.